This is Samsung's brand new smart LED view cover for the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and Samsung addresses all the issues of the previous generation, then completely ruined the most important features. First, let me start with some of the good things. The case itself does feel very premium. This is kind of like a soft touch plastic, and it's not very bendable at all. On the inside, you get a very soft fabric. This feels almost like a microfiber material, and that's going to protect the back of your phone when you put it in. And speaking of putting the phone in, let's go ahead and toss it in right now. You do get very good protection with this because the case does wrap around all four edges of the phone. Looking closer at the bottom, we have a large cutout for the USB-C port, so you can fit basically any cable in here. The only one you might have a little bit of difficulty with is a right angle cable because it might hit this part of the case. Getting the S Pen to eject is pretty easy, but then grabbing the S Pen is a bit difficult unless you use a fingernail. So if you're someone who has sort of recessed fingernails, or you just have larger fingers in general, it might be a bit difficult to get the S Pen out with this case. But for me personally, I don't have any issues getting it out. Taking a look at the cameras on the back, they are very well protected because the case does stick up considerably further than the surface of the glass. So if you did drop the phone on its back, you don't have to worry about your cameras breaking. Taking a closer look at the buttons, we get to our first disappointment with this case. These are very mushy buttons, which is incredibly surprising because I just reviewed Samsung's S View case, and it's practically the same case with a different cover, but the buttons on the S View case were incredible. These are super tactile buttons by comparison to this one. If you also have the LED cover case, let me know how your buttons feel down in the comments below, because hopefully I just got a dud. Taking a closer look at the top of the cover, you can see that there is a slit there so that you can make phone calls with the case closed. And opening the cover reveals the credit card slot. You can fit one card in there comfortably and the case will still close all the way. Adding a second card does fit well within the sleeve portion, but when you close the case, you do get a bit of a gap now. It's nothing crazy, but it is there. Adding a third card is a bit too much and it's going to start to stretch this out. Not only that, it's going to be really difficult to try to get these cards out if you pack 3 in here. And on top of that, it's going to really prevent that case from closing at all. So my recommendation is to just stick with 1 or 2 cards. One more important thing to point out about the cover is that it is not held on magnetically, so if you tilt your phone, the case will open. But as long as your phone is upright like this, it stays on perfectly fine. And while the cover does fold all the way over to the back, you can't use this as a stand. It's way too slippery to do that on a table. You might be able to on something like a blanket or a pillow, but certainly not on any hard surfaces. In case you're wondering, wireless charging is supported, and it'll show a little battery icon with the battery percentage. And wireless power sharing also works. In terms of functionality, the LED window will show you everything from calls to timers, alarms, calendar notifications, messages with a little counter to tell you how many messages you missed, and so much more. If you have missed notifications, then you tap the power button to see the time. You will first see the time, but after a second, the time will go away and you'll see any missing notifications. So as you can see here, I missed a call recently. If you're watching a video or listening to music, then press the power button. Instead of getting the time, you'll get this little equalizer thing popping up. And if you press the volume up or down keys, you'll be able to see the volume increasing or decreasing. And if you wanted to see the time from this screen while you're playing a video or music, too bad, that's not an option. It's just going to show you this equalizer. At that point, you will have to open up your cover to see the time. And by the way, the video playing in the background is my Galaxy Tab S8 and S8 Ultra unboxing, comparison, and fastest setup method video. Shameless plug for that one. If you wanted to see that, you can go ahead and check that out. To customize the LED cover, pull down your notification shade and tap the settings gear. Then go to advanced features and scroll down until you get to accessories and tap that. Now you have a bunch of different settings you can change related to the LED cover. The first option is an automatic unlock feature that makes your phone automatically unlock when you open the cover, but this only works if you're not using any sort of screen lock or if smart lock is enabled and it's keeping your phone unlocked. The LED icon editor lets you create your own custom icons. As you can see, I've already created 2 custom icons. This one on the left is just the letters TV, and the one on the right is just a play button. So now, whenever I get notifications related to the YouTube channel, the letters TV will pop up for Techisode TV, and any YouTube-related notifications will pop up as a play button. To create a new custom icon, tap the plus icon in the bottom right corner, and draw whatever shape you'd like. And if you want more precision, you can use the S Pen. If you make a mistake and need to erase something, just tap the erase icon, and just start erasing. And once you're done with your icon, you can give it a name, and save it. Once you've created your custom icons, you can choose to have them appear with a special effect. The first option is a glitter effect, then you have a twinkle effect, a flicker effect, a diagonal wipe effect, or no effect at all, and that'll make the icon just appear on the cover. And to be clear, the effect applies to all of your icons. You can't have different effects for each icon. If you tap the preloaded text, you can see 48 built-in icon animations. And if you tap one of the icons, you can see the animation. I'll have a few of the animations pop up on the screen now so you can get a better idea of what these animations look like. There are a ton of them, so I don't have time in this video to show all of the animations, but hopefully this gives you a good idea of what it's capable of. Backing out to the main page, you can enable or disable the LED icons for calls or notifications independently. And if you tap the calls text, you can add the custom animations for specific contacts. And if you tap the notifications text, you can add custom icons for any application. One really important thing to point out about notifications with the LED icons is that by default, you only get the active notifications showing up on the LED icons. What I mean by that is things like alarms, timers, calendar appointments, phone calls, and text messages. Things that are actively happening on your phone with the exception of the text message. So if you want to get notifications from any other applications on your cover screen, you do have to add them to this page here. And if you tap this About LED View Cover text at the bottom, you can check for an update. Now let's talk about the most disappointing change with this case. And to do that, I'm going to bring over my Note 20 Ultra with the previous generation of the LED case. So if I hit the power button on both of these devices, you'll see that the new case has this small section with the LEDs, and the old case had a giant section full of LEDs in this entire center area. That change alone isn't too bad, but it gets much worse when you find out that the old case was touch sensitive, so that you could do things like control your music, answer or dismiss phone calls, dismiss alarms, and so much more on the Note 20 Ultra's case, and the new case has no touch sensitivity at all, so you can't do any of that on this case. This little LED window will only give you a little bit of information about your notifications and nothing more than that. Now it's not all bad because these LED notifications are customizable, and when compared to any non-Samsung flip cover case, you won't get any notifications on your cover, so having something is certainly better than nothing, but it's just not as good as it could have been. And if you're wondering why Samsung made the LED window smaller, it probably has to do something with the fact that they increased the wallet capacity to 2 cards, up from just 1 card with the previous generation of the case. Now personally, I'd rather only get 1 card if it meant having a better cover screen experience, but that's just me. If Samsung had just kept the front cover design of the previous version along with that touch functionality and fixed the mushy button issue, this case would have been incredible and highly recommendable. But as it stands, this is a difficult case to recommend, especially if you could get something like the S-View case. You get so much more functionality out of this S-View window and much more tactile buttons. However, you do give up the credit card slot on the inside. So if you don't care about the credit card slot, then I highly recommend this S-View case over the LED case. And again, if you want to learn more about this case, you can check out the dedicated video I have linked in the description. That said, if you really want a wallet case and you like being able to see at least some notifications on the front, and don't mind buttons that are a little bit mushy, then this case may be worth a buy for you. And if you already own the LED View case, let me know what your experience has been with it in the comments below. Or if you don't want either of these two cases, and you'd rather see my favorite slim yet super protective cases for the S22 Ultra, then go ahead and subscribe and turn notifications, because this video's coming up next. That's it for this tech episode. God bless guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.